guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackie and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
We did everything but score, and that includes our power play sucked and our goal scoring sucked. Everything else was great. Great. Our physicality was great. Our commitment was great. Our chances, we have out-chancing them. Everything was great except we didn't score goals. And we've taken a step in the right direction. We believe. We're still pissed off, obviously, that we didn't win. But we took a step in the right direction, not backwards tonight.
Oh, boy. Mackie and Judd fill out for the rest of the week at the Barrett Sports Summit in Manhattan, which means that the reins have been left to Zolgad and executive producer / co-host Declan Goff. That, of course, while coach Dean Evison talking about his team's 5-1 loss last night, in which everything was great except the things that weren't great because certain things sucked. And we do want to break this down. But Declan, I'm thinking to myself, I can't say this often. But I will say this for last night, because I sat by you at the X. We were in the wrong building last night.
We were
in the wrong building because you know who won last night? You know who took it to the Golden State Warriors? Hold on a second. I'm going to get it. The flag is out. Let the flag fly. We weren't there, but who cares? Minnesota Timberwolves. Give me a ho! Ho! That's right. The Timberwolves minus Ant and Golden State was without Iguodala. They were without Draymond. They were without Clay. I don't care. They had Steph. Wolves win. Very impressive. Congratulations. Cat, 39 points. Finchy, why didn't you leave him in to get 40?
Come on, Finchy.
Finchy, I love you. You're my age. We're like kindred spirits, but why didn't you? Sports Dad would have let him get 40. Sports Dad, he was one short. You might as well have given him the chance.
Come on, Finchy.
But anyway, that was the good news on the Minnesota sports scene last night. The bad news was the game that we saw that you just heard Dean Evison talk about, which was the Wild's fourth consecutive loss. They've now dropped 6 of 7. They've lost back-to-back games to Calgary. They played like crap on Saturday in Calgary. It was called an embarrassment. They did not play an embarrassing game last night, but they still lost convincingly. 4-1 basically, because they did give up an empty net goal. And so, Dex, let's start with Dean, because Dean is, and I don't blame him, and I like Dean. I mean, Dean's done a really good job. Okay. So I'm not bashing Dean. It's his job to keep spirits up right now. Like, it's his job, because if he comes in and piles on again, at some point in time, that bullet is gone, right? Like, you can call it embarrassing the game on Saturday. He's exactly right. But at some point in time, if you're like, our scoring sucked and they, bleep them, the players are going to be like, what? Like, we played really well for a long time. But let's talk about it. 1 goal. And now Calgary is really good, but 1 goal, power play sucked. He's right. 0 for 4. And what he didn't say was the penalty kill sucked. Gave up 2 goals to Calgary on the power play on 3 chances. And I see this loss 2 ways. One is it's definitely in the spiral of what's a bad stretch. Like, it just is. The second thing, though, Dex, and I'll also cite the Toronto loss last week. Now, Toronto, in my opinion, is not as good as the Flames, but that also had the feel of a playoff game. The last 2 games, the Flames are playing playoff hockey. Like, they're big, they're strong, they're fast. They take away time and space. They're great with their sticks. So here's what concerns me. The more previews that we get of what playoff games and playoff teams are going to look like, the more I right now lose faith. And I don't want to panic, because it could change.
Don't panic.
But I do want to put it out there that when we are seeing what appear to be games that we are going to see in the spring, the Wild ain't exactly stacking up right now. Is that a fair statement without it being pure panic?
Yeah, it's tough because they don't look like they match up well with anyone. We were talking with our hashtag friend of the show, Michael Russo, in the bowels of the XL Energy Center yesterday when we were walking to the press conference, and we said, is there any team that they match up with well right now? And we said, yeah, I guess maybe Nashville, but there's probably no path to you playing the Nashville Predators. So if they have to play Avalanche, they're going to have to deal with speed and size. They play with Calgary, they're going to have to deal with speed and size. If they play with St. Louis, not necessarily speed, but physicality, and they just seem to be a little bit of your kryptonite. As this losing streak, I think 7 of 10 in our first swoon season, which I was looking for the swoon season about a month ago, Judd, and I said, I can't find it. I said, where's the swoon season on the schedule? Couldn't find it. Well, now we're in a swoon. And I think what you're seeing in this swoon is the Wild aren't as good as we maybe thought they were, but also they're vulnerable. You've now seen, I think, where they can get hit hard, and that's if a team has speed and physicality, they really get bogged down, and they take away their game. Right now, I think the two biggest culprits that I've noticed offensively that have just really fallen off the table and have just been kind of handcuffed here, number one, Ryan Hartman. Ryan Hartman's been a mess. It's noticeable. Horrible turnover in the neutral zone at one point during the game. He's like a -8 on the ice in the last 16, just one goal. He's been bad. Joel Eriksson Ek makes a living getting in greasy and dirty areas. But if you clog that up for him, I love Ek, but he can't make an impact. If you bog him down, you can't. Joel Eriksson Ek is not going to make an impact. He works his ass off, and he's a pest, and he can get under people's skin. And he has decent speed, but not elite speed, or even, and this is where he is a little bit flawed, he doesn't have just natural playmaking ability. That's not X game. That's never been X game. So you have two of your main key cog centers, and Ryan Hartman and Joel Eriksson Ek, whose games have fallen off a cliff and have been taken away from you. And I love Kirill Kaprizov. Kaprizov put on a show yesterday, and there was numerous moments where you noticed him. Fiala can do that. Boldy's had a little bit rougher last 2 games, but even he has playmaking ability, and I'm not necessarily concerned after even 2 kind of bad games from him against Calgary here from the rookie Matt Boldy, who only has 16, 17 games under his NHL career belt.
Sure.
My biggest culprits are the 2 centers in Hartman and Ek, and that your goaltending hasn't been good enough. Dino said he liked Cam was fine. I should say Cam was fine. But when you're in this losing skid and your offense goes silent, you do need your goaltending to steal you something. And they've yet to provide that. So those are the 3 things that I've noticed over this last 10 games that have really started to bite the Wild in the butt.
So some statistical context here from the things that you just talked about. Talbot has given up at least 4 goals in 4 consecutive starts. Mm-hmm. Last night, the Wild cut the Flames lead to 2-1 on a beautiful Kaprizov setup to a falling Foligno who hit the net. And I mean, Markstrom was phenomenal last night.
Yeah, he was great.
It's 2-1 at that point. And there was a sloppy play then shortly thereafter in front of Talbot that the Flames scored to make it 3-1. I am in no way saying that it was a save that was easy. I am in no way saying Talbot cost his team the game last night, but it was the definition of the type of point blank save that you need your goaltender to make in a game like that. And he didn't. And that's the question. And that's the issue of, because goaltenders and quarterbacks, I think we're finding are the same in this sense. Well, it's not their fault. I mean, sloppy play in front of Talbot. What's Talbot supposed to do? Well, he's supposed to stop the puck. But I mean, come on, that's a tough save, Judd. You're right. But guess who made those saves last night? Jacob Markstrom. Yep. So it's just like with Kirk. You know, it's not Kirk's fault. Well, actually, you need him to lift you. As far as Hartman goes, this has gotten bad. Like this is not hashtag small sample size alert. Last 15 games for a guy who before this was red hot and was playing great and deserved to be and was your number 1 center, Ryan Hartman, 1 goal, 4 assists, 5 points, -9, 26 PIMs, 26 PIMs, baby. So like he is scuffling. He is struggling. He right now looks like what I think at the beginning of the season, we all probably thought, which is 3rd line guy, right? That's him. And look, he's not paid well. So the expectation that Ryan Hartman is letting this team down, he is, but it's not like he is breaking the bank. He is on a deal that he clearly knew I should probably just sign this, right? And it's dirt cheap. So that being said, though, here's what concerns me. Because again, I'm not panicked. It's more just trying to sort through. Here's what concerns me. In watching Calgary especially, and thinking about St. Louis and the teams that you very well might play, goaltending for sure concerns me. I will continue to say this. It will not be fair at some point in March to say, God, Cam Talbot, I just don't know. Hey, Capo, come on down, save us. That's not fair. Like the expectation of Capo didn't save us is unfair. We have no idea. He can play really well for stretches. He can play really well at times. But like if you pull the parachute and pull out a Capo and it's like Capo will lead us to the ground safely and you crash, that's a you problem, not a Capo problem. Center. You right now unequivocally do not have a number one center. You do not. And I think it's fair to say this, Dex. To expect Gaudreau to continue to play the way that he's been playing is unfair. So, like, he's played really well of late. I mean, I think that line has some fault, but I mean, during the 4-game Canadian trip, Declan, that line was outstanding, and Gaudreau played fantastic. But if you go into the playoffs and like, we are going to ride Frederick Gaudreau at center, good luck to you.
Yeah.
And the third thing, and we disagree, but I think this crystallized in playing Calgary for sure. You do not have a BLEEP kicking defenseman who can do what Calgary's defensive core can do. You've got some talent there, but they're mostly smaller guys. And it doesn't help. Goligoski's play has fallen off the map. But you don't have, and Dumba brings a physicality to the blue line, but he's not exactly a big guy. So here's my ultimate point without completely pushing a panic button. I just pointed to 3 deficiencies that you don't have the ability to fix them all. So if you're Bill Guerin, do you like take a shot and try and fix one? Because it would be a shame to be like, oh, screw it. Because you've got a good team and you're going to play better than this. But I think we have seen what hockey in the springtime is going to look like. And you're going to have to take your best shot at fixing 1, maybe 2, but you sure as hell aren't fixing 3 places of what are turning into, I think it's fair to say, need, if not urgent need in some cases.
I truly could not fathom Bill Guerin not doing anything at the deadline. I understand that there's a risk and reward at play here, but what you've seen over these last 10 games, no matter what happened in the first 3 months, it's not what you've done. It's what you've done for me lately. And the Wild have yet to show that they can. They're not losing games in ball breaking fashion, close games, bad call goes your way. A lot of Wild fans think the refs are out to get them. And Dean even made a statement that I'm not going to comment on the refs tonight because they were porous. Bad refereeing happens in every damn sport. And if you can't figure out and good enough to being able to overcome it, that's on you. That's not on the referees, dudes.
Thank you.
If you're Bill Guerin, you got to figure out something to do here. And I understand. You got a great prospect pool. There's a risk reward of parting with someone. But the luxury you have right here of having one of the best prospect pools and cap space to inherit for the trade deadline and buyouts that are going to be hindering you from doing anything over the next, not anything, but significant upgrades over the next 3 years. If you sit by and you're idle here, you are being the thing that I despise the most, which is being complacent and being okay with being average. And I know, I understand that executives think they know everything. Bill Guerin's a smart dude. I really think he's a smart guy. He's a former player. He knows what it takes to win. He knew when his time was running out, how can I be a contributing player if I can't be an offensive player? He's been around Stanley Cup winning teams. So I do have faith that he's going to make the right move. But if he doesn't, if he just stands pat and we come to the trade deadline here in less than 19 days and no move is made, the Wild are going to be bounced in the first round. And all that good you did, all that hype you built up is for nothing. It's for nothing. So if you're Bill Guerin and you can only address one of these things, at least go and try and do it. Because I will say, but I'll play devil's advocate against myself here. If they go and get Claude Giroux or they got Marc-Andre Fleury, they took some stab at something at the deadline, and you did lose in the first round, I would at least say you tried. You tried. And I understand if you don't make a move and you still lose in the first round, it's disappointing. It's equally as disappointing, but I will applaud the effort for trying. And that's what I want. And this is more of a Minnesota sports syndrome that I have, but I just want to see them try to make that significant move one time.
All right. I give you one move. What position? What
Goaltender.
position?
Goaltender. The impact that and volatility of goaltending is way more important to me in the playoffs than adding a center. If I only get one, I'm gonna go the goaltending route. And by goaltending route, I hope that's Marc-Andre Fleury. If it's as we like to say, some slappy, it's like if it's a Cam Talbot equivalent, I'd be disappointed. I'd be disappointed.
Then why make the move?
Then why make the move, right?
Yeah, no, I love what you said, but just to be crystal clear about this, if you go make a move for the sake of a move, forget it. Don't do it then. Like if you don't, and look, I think that if Bill Guerin makes a move, he is going to make one to upgrade his team immediately. But like if you go out and get a middling player, hey, this guy, we're going to plug him in, then just don't do it. So I'm with you completely, but it has to be what we consider an impact move. It can't be a move because, well, we got this guy and we got a good price. It can't be just we made a move. It has to be we made a move and here's why. And I firmly believe that is what Bill Guerin would do. But if you're going to make a trade, make a trade. Don't just go out and get a guy who, oh man, we're going to plug him in. No, don't bother me with that. Make a move that's going to feel like at least a splash.
And if that's Claude Giroux, and if it's or some type of impact center, they've been scouting San Jose. I mean, my God, if they landed Thomas Hertl somehow and he even bolts into UFA free agency, that's fine. Like that I want to see the shot being taken here, because if you get into a playoff series against Calgary or against Colorado, I really now think you don't stand a chance in hell. Like St. Louis scares me because you don't match up well, but I still think at the end of the day you can figure out a way past them. I don't see a path.
Your ass too, though.
That's fine, but I don't see a path to beating Calgary or Colorado in a playoff series right now. I don't see any path. I see a path them beating St. Louis. It'd be hard, but I see that path. I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel if you played Calgary or Colorado.
The incredible thing right now, after watching these past two games, is this. I think you actually, and I don't think that you would beat this team in a 7-game series. I think you actually match up better against the Avs than the Flames.
I actually agree with you. Yeah.
And I think the Flames would give the Avs fits because they would kick McKinnon's ass from here to Sunday. Now, what concerned me in these last two games was this one too. And I am not advocating brawling, okay? But what the Flames did to Kaprizov, you can't allow that to happen. There has to be an answer for it. I mean, the hit that he took in the third period from behind last night that sort of jammed his neck, that crap can't happen. Like that is if you are going to allow Kaprizov, and he's a tough kid, and he is not a prima donna type who has to be defended at every turn, but he's your star player. And you can't just let him be hit. And I don't know how you go about making sure that does not take place because you obviously don't want his wing not to be Zuccarello, but there has to be in a playoff series pushback there. You can't allow Kirill Kaprizov to get his ass kicked and be like, well, he got his ass kicked. The Golden Knights did that. And that was Kaprizov's first endeavor into the playoffs. And I thought that the Wild learned a lot in that series that they could then translate potentially to this season and especially the playoffs this year. But if you let the same things take place, it's not excusable now. So my thought is this. I don't need to see you brawl, but I need to see you defend him and Fiala And the guys who are going to score goals, the starting point is they need to feel like they have the room. And Calgary does a marvelous job just with a standard physicality, right, of taking away time and space. But I'm talking about Kirill Kaprizov. If the goal is we are going to abuse him, you have to say, no, you're not.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not. And there was nothing in these two games on Saturday and then again on Tuesday at the X that said the Wild has a coherent plan to step up. I want to talk about Dean too. So let me run this by you because I saw it last night. It bothers me. And Dean's done a great job. I will go back to that. I think he's done a really good job. That being said, the Calgary Flames, Declan, had a Daryl Sutter. It's not sexy, but it's impressive. Had a Daryl Sutter plan for how they play.
Oh yeah.
And it's comprehensive. Like there's no luck to it. Like they know they have players who can play pretty, but they're not encouraged to. They play a heavy game, a hard game, but like their transitional game is really impressive. So it's not like I'm standing here, pass me the puck. Now it's a well-oiled machine as far as I'm concerned. Got to be honest. I'm not sure that when the Wild plays a team like that they have a plan to counter it. And that bothers me. Mm-hmm. In a playoff series, we are going to find out a ton about Dean, because if you go into a playoff best of 7 against Calgary, Dex, and you're just like, yeah, okay, yeah, we're going to come out and play Wild hockey, you're going to get your butt kicked. I really thought from the press box, what we saw last night was one team that had a fundamental plan and one team that was like, oh my God, we got to create some chances.
Yeah.
And so when Dean said our scoring sucked, like we couldn't score goals, I got bad news for you, Dean. And I think that he would accept this and own up to it. That's partially on you as well. Like I need to see more from an actual game plan against the Calgary than what we've seen, because playoff hockey, you need a plan. You can't just go play your game and say, that's our game. Especially if you're a team like the Wild, you need to go into that game like a football team, knowing what you're going to do against individual players and to also create offense for your team.
It's that old hockey cliche that it felt like the Wild were chasing the game yesterday, right? Like they were chasing it.
Yes.
The Flames have a plan, and the Wild were completely out of whack. Just did not look like the team they've been over the last 2 weeks. It looks like they haven't been that same team that they were in the first 10, 15 games. That's to me where if they want to get Giroux and they want to get Hurdle, it should obviously naturally by default awaken your offense. But I also believe goaltending can steal you things in hockey. And that's where at the end of the day, if Dean can push buttons, Dean can match up, Dean can make line combinations, and in the words of Lou Nanne, players play, coaches coach, managers manage. But goaltending can kind of save you. It can be your bailout. It's your get out of jail free card when you don't play a pristine game. And that's to me why I think if you only give me one move, if I was Bill Guerin, I think I make the goaltending move, because the goaltending can bail you out of those situations. Can it carry you for the 4 rounds? Maybe not. But goaltending can eventually save you on a bad night. And you need that at least in a few games of the playoffs where your offense sputters and isn't playing well. Can your goaltending steal you at least 1 or 2 games? And that's where I try to make that impact move.
You also need, though, a plan. Like the Wild literally going into games now like they're playing in October. That bothers me.
I get it, man.
Like we saw a team last night with a plan. And we saw a team saying, hey, this is what we do. And it's like, no. This is, if the Wild goes into the playoffs basically trying to dictate things like they think they should be instead of adjustments, that is the sin that the Wild made in their playoff loss to the Blues. Because Mike Yeo knew exactly what the kryptonite of his former team was, right? And he put together a plan. And what does that entail? It entails a lot of the same things Calgary did. Goaltending's huge. I get that. But let's go beyond that, all right? It's time and space is gone. Physicality, stick work. Think about the amount of pucks that the Wild got last night in the slot and then they didn't have. Or that there was no space to shoot. Like, that's all a plan. That has nothing to do with luck or bad luck. That has to do with your opponent being prepared for what you think you can do. I'll tell you right now, the greatest plan in the history of this franchise, I think, first round, 03 Avs. Because Tony Granato, then the Avs coach, had no clue what he was doing.
Yeah.
And Jacques Lemaire make no mistake, Jacques Lemaire won that series.
Yeah,
Jacques Lemaire said, you've got no clue. And I got players that can't match your players. But you know what I can do? I can have and unveil a game plan that's going to frustrate you, slow you down, and drive a guy like Forsberg and Sakic up the wall. And that's what I'm talking about. That's how you win in the playoffs. In the 80s, Bob Johnson and the Calgary Flames shocked the Oilers. And it never came out, I don't think, Dex. But Bob Johnson said, I had an 8-point plan to beat Gretzky and that team. 8 points. 8 points highlighted that we executed them. And we won. So if you want to say, well, the Wild's got no chance because of talent or blah, 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 that's right. But what gives you a chance is a game plan. And it has to be great, but that's what the great coaches do. And so this spring, we are going to find out, is Dean a good coach or is he maturing into a great coach? And if he is, that's how you shock a team in a long series.
You know, unfortunately, I love this guy, but this is where he got burned a lot, is Bruce Boudreau. Bruce Boudreau, when faced with adversity and faced with getting off your game plan, did not know what to do.
Yep.
There's evidence all over the place, from Anaheim to Washington to Minnesota, that when you threw him off, he did not know what to do. And I think Bruce Boudreau is a hell of a coach. Statistically, he is legitimately one of the best coaches of all time in terms of regular season winning percentage.
And we loved him. He's great. Great quote. Great guy. Great hockey guy. No question. You are right, though.
And Dino, and you know what? I'll say this. Dino has exceeded our expectations of him being a competent and above average head coach.
Right.
So kudos to Dean there.
Right.
But what is he going to do? What you going to do, brother? Like in the words of Hulkamania here, what you going to do when the Colorado Avalanche run wild on you? You know, what is the game plan going to be? Can you adapt to that?
Yes.
And that's we're going to see the true colors of Dean Evason as a head coach in the NHL.
And the goal, I think, very simple. If you come out with a game plan that to throw off a team like the Avs, Declan, the hockey might suck. Too bad, folks.
Yeah. I'm okay with that. I don't care.
Neutral zone, no room to move.
Right.
And that's why last point. That's why Dino was frustrated by the officiating last night. Because if the expectation is, oh my God, there's no room, and you're holding, and it's subtle, right? It's holding, you're getting in guys' way, the officials will stop calling things. And that's what they did last night. Like, you can't call everything Calgary is doing. You can't. And Calgary works so damn hard that they start to get the benefit of the doubt, right? That has to be you. That has to be you.
Playoff hockey is the only sport where I think literally the game truly changes. The game, how it's played, is changed. You know, in football, in basketball, and in baseball, to a degree, sure, strategy and things change, but also individual performers rise up and rise and fall and whatnot. Playoff hockey, everything is completely different. It's why people love it so much, right? Like, if you're a casual fan, Phil Mackey probably won't tune into a lot of regular season hockey games, but he'll turn on an NHL playoff game.
Whisper loves
some playoff hockey, right? So the game changes. Can you adapt to that? Can you adapt to it?
Exactly right. All right. I believe it's time for, hold on a second. I hear something. Write that down. It's time for Write That Down. And Phil will join us with his predictions. And let me just say, you want to see Phil's predictions. They are a hoot. Talk to you.